Hi guys, it's Clarice and welcome to another video tutorial with me. If you're new to my channel, I put out regular videos on mainly watercolor and typically doing florals. Today's video though, we are going to be tackling some easy and pretty florals using gouache right here. So I'm just going to walk you through my supplies and we are going to begin right after. So for paper, I am using my paper by Etchr, which are these really cute little postcards, so you can just paint on here and post it in the mail to a friend or a loved one. So love these watercolor postcards, so we're using that for today. For brushes, I'm going to be using mainly my my flat number 8 from the ZenART Black Tulip collection, and this gives us some really cute and pretty loose floral effects. So we're going to be mainly doing the flowers using this, and then for the leaves and stems and such, we are going to be using the number 4 Silver Black Velvet. And finally for colors, I have my Marie Gouache colors, and I'm just going to tell you what the names of the colors. So if you have the equivalent, you can use those, or feel free to use any colors of your choice. So I am, for the actual flowers, I am using a combination of the vermilion and a white. This is the titanium white. So I love the peachy color that comes when you mix these two, so we're definitely going to be using that. Then for the leaves and such, we're going to be using a combination of the sap green and burnt umber, or you can swap it out for a lighter green, just because the burnt umber is nice and dark, and so it'll give you a good enough combo. So that's that. And then finally, if I want to add little filler florals, or for the center of the flower, I'm going to be using a mild yellow. Alright, so those are my supplies. I've got water ready, everything's pretty much good to go, and we are ready to begin. So I've got some of the vermilion and the titanium white on here onto my palette, and I'm just going to take the flat brush and start mixing it. And I love the, as I mentioned earlier on, I really love the combination, or the color that comes out of combining these two together. It's such a pretty orangey hue, and I like the lighter florals. So I'm just going to mix that right here in the middle, and then we're going to start off right away by using this brush, and I'll show you exactly what my technique is. It's super simple, and I think you guys will love it, and will be really into, well, probably create a whole bunch of florals just like this. Alright, so typically what I'm doing is I'm literally just pressing down on the brush, creating a stroke, and creating another one here, and then I'm just using the side of the brush to create side strokes, and then strokes at just one stroke at the bottom. So then the floral looks like it is facing kind of upward and opening forward this way towards us. Now you keep on creating this, or doing these strokes. Very simple, right? So I'm just going to do a couple more here. So one's here. Notice I'm getting like a little bit of, like I'm using the full width of the brush first, and then I'm going sideways to create the side strokes or the side petals, and then I'm just doing something like this, just kind of like a side stroke, bringing it down, and then one stroke just at the bottom to close that floral up. So it'll take a couple of, I guess, tries to kind of get used to this technique, but go ahead and try, and then turn your sheet around and try and add additional strokes if you can, because then that'll give the petals like a nicer shape, if that makes any sense. I'm going to turn this upside down. So here's one. Notice I'm using my side strokes, the side of my brush, to kind of add these additional petals here. I'm going to add one more at the bottom, another one here, and you can notice how, you can see how I'm adding a tiny hue of the darker shade of this color that we're using. And again, these are super loose and simple florals, so you don't have to overwork them. Now I'm adding a little more white to this to get some looser looking flowers. Sorry, lighter looking flowers. And then I'm doing the same technique. Now the beauty is really seen in these florals once you actually add the dark combination of the greens. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do 5, and then I will add the leaves and the centers. So feel free to like shape your florals if you want, but literally these are all the strokes you're doing. Okay, so I'm going to put my brush aside, and we are going to go ahead and start mixing some of the burnt sienna and the green, which is right here. So while that is drying up, I'm just going to quickly mix this up. I had some leftover from previous, but I want that nice dark green look, which is right here in the corner, and then we'll go for the lighter version with more of the green for actual, I guess, leaves and such if you want to add that later. I'm going with the dark for the stems and the centers first. So pulling this back again, I'm going to start off by doing a couple of stems. Using the tip of my brush, I'm just kind of attaching or drawing in these little stems for these flowers. Again, this is a very loose style, so they don't necessarily have to make sense. They're not really joining anywhere, but I like how these look when you kind of add the thin stems and then add additional leaves and such on the outskirts for them. So I think some of the leaves I'll make this color, and then I can always make them the lighter green if I want to. So I'm adding these extensions. I'll add one here. And then just one perhaps over here. Great. Oh wait, one more over here. Let's do that. Perfect. And now I'm going to add a couple of these leaves like I mentioned. So literally for the leaves, if you've done any of my other videos or leaf videos, you can either start the leaf from the stem all the way out or from the out going towards the stem. So here's from the out going to the stem. Super simple, right? Here's from the stem going outward, and I'm giving it a little bit of a curve. I'll get a little bit of that bright green and add that in there as well. And I'm really using like trailing off on the tip of my brush to get those nice thin ends to my leaf. Literally it's like 2 strokes and your leaf is done. And they're simple and cute. Add some white space in between if you want to. And I do like the contrast like of the dark with the light, so if that is also your preference, I would say maybe just stick with just the dark looking leaves, and then that's also good enough. Because who says you have to toil away at a painting for a long time for it to be nice and pretty, right? If you can finish it with a few strokes, why not? So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and add the rest of my leaves with this same color. Same thing here. A couple here. Notice I'm adding like white space in between as well for some of them. And that's okay. If you're able to get that in, perfect. I'm just adding some in the center here as well. And maybe one protruding from this flower or two. And I think that's good enough for now. We can go on to doing the centers of these. For the centers, I'm mixing my dark brown, which is right here. And then I am going to add these little dabs right in the center of these flowers that we have painted in. So I'm using the tip of my brush and I'm drawing tiny little lines. And then as I come downward, leaving a little bit of white space, I am going to add little dots because you can see more of that side than this side, right? So it's all about that perspective that you're trying to give these flowers. Same thing here, this one is downward, so longer lines over there and then tiny dots on this end. Same thing over here. And then finally over here as well. And then we got one more to do. Just getting a little bit of water on the tip of my brush. And we are almost done. All right, perfect. So I have done all the flowers. Now, if you want to add a couple of little buds or something like that, where we can use the yellow for, I would say mix in some of the green with the brown just over here. Or even just use the plain brown if you wish. It's entirely up to you. And what we're going to do is draw this little spray of, I guess, buds or whatever they are, whatever you want to call them, I guess. And I'm drawing them kind of like how I did the stems for the leaves, similar fashion. Just a couple here and there. So that's a good enough section. Let's do some on this end. I'm going to have it come out beyond the leaves. And have some over here too, just maybe one or two on this end. Poking out from the back. Another one here. Perfect. And so now we can go ahead and get some of the gold or yellow, and then using the same brush we can just go ahead and add some of that color in there. So I've got some of the gold or the mild yellow on here, and I'm just gonna do these tiny strokes using this brush, so pressing down and just kind of going towards the stem and trying to kind of leave some white space in there. They could look like tiny little cups, or if you just want to make it like looking like a leaf, that's fine too. As you do the second stroke, if you want to add some white space, that also works very nicely. So use your discretion and see what is your preference. I'm going to get some more color and then just add some on this side as well. And then what I would suggest is adding, using the vermilion, the red, without mixing it with the titanium, just adding a little bit of a dot at the tip of these guys, and then it kind of makes it look whole. Make this one slightly bigger than that. There we go. Okay, so now this looks very cute and pretty, right? So now I'm going to get some of that vermilion just by itself. So I'm washing off the color of the yellow and just getting some of the vermilion that I have here. So this is why I kind of mixed half of it with the white and then left the other half dark. Now you need to ideally wait for it to dry a little bit, but because it's so thick, I think it's okay for me to, oops, maybe it's not that okay because I got too much water on here. So I would wait for it to dry a little bit and just also make sure that you have no water on your brush. Although I don't mind the blend, but it looks like it might be pooling up if I leave it that way. So just taking it off with my paper towel and making sure that I don't have too much water and mainly just color. I'm going to go and add a dot. Now this one's kind of leaking in there too. I think this one should work well because, oh, maybe I need to just wait for it to dry. I can see, because of the lighting, I can see that these ones are dried up already, and so they're okay. But if it's giving me a little bit of a watercolor effect by blending in, why not just embrace it, right? Might just be pretty after all, as an end result. Happy mistakes, as we like to call them, yeah? All right, perfect. So this is it. And you see how that little bit of red at the tips really make it pop. Yeah, hope you guys like this. Let me know in the comments what you thought. If this is your first time using gouache, let me know what you've thought of it, comparing it to, I guess, watercolor, which is typically what we do. Tag me on Instagram or on Facebook. I would love to see what you guys do and what you come up with. And I think that's about it. If you like this video, please consider hitting the like button and also consider subscribing to my channel. And that's it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.